That's when I first had to realize I'm not even alive anymore. That's what hit me. You're not even in this world anymore. Like 0 to 60, you're not even alive anymore. You've arrived at what must be called the afterlife. You have now arrived in the afterlife. And then I received the task of reporting back to this world, when I return, what I experienced there. And also everything else they show me. I am to report that. And then it happens. I'm to paint pictures.
Was that so specific? It's about pictures?
Yes, it was almost like an order.
Mr. Hensle, you owned a horse farm, were a part-time farmer, worked as a vintner, and now retired. And for some years have also been known as a painter of truly extraordinary pictures. This is connected to a dramatic event. On June 4th, 2011, you had a workplace accident that led to a near-death experience. And I would like to ask you to begin by telling me how it happened and what you experienced.
Yes, that's what happened. I'm normally a hard worker on a farm. That day I was sitting outside drinking coffee. I wanted to go to a plot of land we had recently reseeded with meadows for horse hay. So I drove off with the tractor and onto the meadow. Then, as planned, I started mowing the meadow with the tractor, driving in circles. And then suddenly a mosquito flew into my eye. And because I always drove the same route, I closed my eye to try and get the mosquito out. I closed my eye then. And at that moment, I thought I had already steered the tractor so that I could complete the circuit. But I hadn't turned the wheel enough for that circuit. And then I ended up on the embankment. When I opened my eye again, the tow truck was already on the edge, i.e. in a fall.
That was a steep slope.
Yes, the tow plane was already falling. And then there was a second when I thought, jump down quickly. I wanted to jump upwards. I wanted to jump up the embankment from the tractor. But I couldn't manage it. So I jumped in the other direction, jumping down the embankment. And there's a bush on this embankment. And I jumped in there, hoping the tractor would drive a little further. But it didn't.
So the tractor was uncontrollable.
Yes, exactly. I was then in this embankment, jumped up, but couldn't run away because I was standing in the embankment. And then the tractor came down, starting to fall. And then it ran over me, yes. The tractor pushed me into the thorns and undergrowth and kept rolling.
Did it catch you?
Yes, it completely overwhelmed me. Like being hit by a huge hammer.
What does this machine look like? How heavy is it? Is it a large tractor?
Yes, that was a large tractor. A tractor with an implement attached to the back. And since this tractor was an older model, it didn't have many fairings. All the lines and implements were attached. They're all still angular. Everything is steel. And then they just went for me and really beat me up. Like a big hammer hitting me. And as I lay there, it came to me. Now you're going to die right now, like this. Now you're going to die. And if you do nothing, it's over. And I still had this ancient cell phone with a chain attached from back in the day. I managed to grab it, and then I pressed the redial button that those old devices had. I was able to press the button. I was lying down, had my phone in front of me, and then immediately reached my brother in the stable, just like that. And then I quickly told him a few important things about where I was.
He knew something had happened.
Yes, that something happened, yes. But then, at the same moment, they told me this later, our dog had already been running around the yard at home. He jumped around my father, who was still alive at that time, and behaved weirdly.
The dog was very restless.
Yes, and my father knew where I was. If I hadn't managed to call on my mobile phone, then the dog would have alerted him.
That is nice.
Anyway, then came my last glimpses here on Earth as I lay in the embankment. I saw raindrops above me. The sky was only very slightly cloudy. And I thought, now it's starting to rain and I can feel the raindrops falling on me. And then, from the other direction, large birds flew in. We have a place called Bleich Valley near us, and that's where the birds flew from. They flew straight towards me as if they wanted to help me. So the birds flew towards me, yes, and for me it's clear now, these birds, and the dog before them, were part of this animal channel. An alarm was raised around the animal world. That's quite fascinating. Anyway, the raindrops stopped. I was no longer aware of the birds after that because I was passing out. I couldn't get up anymore. The pain was too great. I couldn't hold on any longer. And then I fell away into the great light. I simply call it the spiral of light now.
But the raindrops and the birds, those were still impressions from the earthly world.
Yes, those were impressions from the earthly world, the last impressions, but they were profound, like a farewell. Now, right in my area of the property, a few more raindrops are falling. And then the birds come. The birds fly towards me. It felt like they needed to help me. So fascinating to me. And after that, couldn't contain myself anymore. I flew away. I mean, I went into the light, which means I left my body. I lay at the accident site in pain, and then I completely left my body. I stepped out of my body. My soul stepped out. I hadn't even known what a soul was before.
And did you also feel effects of leaving?
I was aware of this exit. The return was more difficult, but the exit itself was mild, not painful. I had experienced pain beforehand, but I noticed during the exit that I was losing my pain. My pain had gone away. My pain flowed away from me, and I left my body. Then I went towards the light. And when I perceived the light, people were already waiting for me. They were already there, familiar beings who knew they wanted to pick me up. That's roughly how I perceived it.
These were people you know.
I knew them, but I can't say now if it was my grandpa or grandma or so-and-so. I then continued on with these beings who were there. They were light beings, not like me, solid, but light beings. They wanted to accompany me. That's how it seemed to me. Because my pain was completely gone, it was pleasant for me. Then other beings came, like angelic beings at Christmas time. That's perhaps how one could describe them. beings that simply represent and embody goodness. And then I left Earth, that is, this world.
Did you have a distinct feeling of drifting away?
Yes, but not in a way that frightened me, because the angelic beings took away my fear. I was then without fear. My soul was without fear. But I hadn't really grasped yet that I was truly dead. Everything was somehow unusual.
But it was quite realistic.
Yes, it was. It was all very real. In any case, I left then. I went through something there. Felt swept through as if flying, but also guided. Whether it was a great distance or right next door and how long it took is hard to say. In any case, it was some kind of tunnel.
A kind of tunnel?
Yes, a kind of tunnel. The power, the light, everything revealed itself. But it contained an energy, a brightness, a color that you simply can't paint on this earth. What I experienced there can't be truly conveyed.
Was it more of a being pulled or pushed?
It wasn't a push. It was simply a gliding over, a gentle, subtle transition, so to speak, combined with a good feeling for the soul. There, in what I now call the other world, the afterlife, I realized for the first time that I was no longer alive. It dawned on me that I was no longer even in this world. From 0 to 60, suddenly it was clear to me, you're not alive anymore. You're in what must be called the afterlife. You've arrived there now, in the afterlife. Fascinating. What I found particularly fascinating was that once I realized where I was, even though I hadn't been afraid up to that point, everything gradually became much more pleasant. It was lovely, truly embracing, so to speak, as if I was surrounded only by good people. So I must have arrived in a good place, I thought. Maybe you could even call it heaven. That's where you've arrived.
Security.
Yes, I knew I was no longer on Earth. I got out. I'm somewhere else. And then something comes towards me, like a force field. Like a cloud approaching. But a cloud with a force within it. And inside that cloud, there was someone. I didn't see it the way I see you now, but I knew there was a being inside. And that being began to speak to me. My first thought was, what is this? Where am I now? It was something unknown. But yes, it was nice, pleasant. I knew I'd arrived somewhere good. In any case, the question then arose as to whether I still had anything to do back in the old world. It dawned on me, yes, this, and this. I then explained everything I had to do, the most important matters. And then I was told, I'll come back again. I'll get the chance to go back. But I'll be given a task to complete, a mission. I thought to myself, yes. I accepted the assignment immediately, so I agreed. But I didn't even know what it was about yet. In earthly terms, one might say, it was a bit blinkered the way I accepted this assignment. And then I received the instruction that I should report back to this world, that is, when I return to the world, about what I experienced there, about everything that was shown to me. I should report. And then it came. I was to paint pictures of what I'd been shown. Then it hit me. Hey, you can't do that at all. You're not the kind of person who can do that. Don't they see that I can't do that? Those were my thoughts.
But that was so specific. It's about pictures.
Yes, that was almost like an order.
So you were already prepared to accept virtually any commission, and didn't even know yet that it involved painting.
I didn't know what was coming. In any case, it was about painting pictures and reporting on them in this world. I was to paint the individual things they showed me, and then exhibit the pictures out into the world. Then doubts crept in. You can't do that at all. You're not suited for it. You can't do that. Those were the kinds of thoughts that crossed my mind.
Did you have any connection to painting?
No.
Not at all.
Horses and everything to do with them, yes, but painting, that's not my world. None whatsoever. Practically the exact opposite of any connection to it. In any case, I knew there was a mission for me. To report to the world. I'm to report on everything I've taken in, everything I've seen. I'm to paint it all. And there should be an exhibition. And then I had the impression that someone was reading my mind. As if someone knew everything that was going on inside me, in my very being. And then, as if in response, I received the information, I will be helped to do all of this.
In response to the uncertainty of how I should do it, because I simply can't.
Yes. So I was essentially selected, and it became clear that help was needed. And then the answer came. I would be helped to carry out all of this.
And then you got to see different levels or areas of the afterlife.
Yes, in the realm I've entered, things have been shown to me. I've been shown the good, the things that evoke positive feelings. If I've been a good person, if I've lived my life in this world as I should, then I can experience such realms. I was shown some really beautiful places where I thought, yes, I could stay there. Yes, I would like that. But then, I was also shown other things. Houses, different locations, people in small houses like apartments. I was shown all sorts of different things. And then there were also areas where it was dark. I mean, how should I describe it? Depressive areas, like castles, like dark red rocks. And there were also circumstances where I really, where I thought, I don't need this right now. So I quickly turned away from it. But those images are burned into my memory.
So the images were always connected to a very specific feeling. Here is the good, there is what I want nothing to do with.
Yes, that was a really intense feeling. Oh, you have to get away from it. I don't even want to know about it anymore. That's roughly how it was. But these were indeed things that people should know exist.
Did you get the feeling that people actually lived there?
So, souls, yes. They aren't in bright apartments, but in darker, reddish ones. The associated perceptions weren't pleasant. That's the direction it went in. So it was the exact opposite of the good areas.
Would you, very roughly speaking, refer to heaven and hell?
So if I had to weigh it up, it wasn't the sky, more like the other way around. I'd rather not speculate on what you want to call it. It certainly wasn't a good thing. I see it as quite negative for people. And that's what the pictures are meant to show. But there are also these, how should I put it, various levels, so to speak, where people still have to wait in apartments. Inside these spaces, they have to wait, but it's not hopeless. There were also beings there who gave lessons to help them continue their journey. So I didn't have a bad feeling about it, but I knew they weren't there yet, not where it's supposed to be. But I had the feeling that these people had the potential to move forward in that direction. That was my feeling. So I saw a variety of things. I was also shown entire continents shrouded in fog. So it's not all the same. I was shown different situations.
During the time when you were shown these different areas, did you still have the feeling of hyperreality? That it was all intensely real and not somehow like a dream?
Yes, that was.
That was reality, without a doubt.
Yes, that's all true. For me personally, without a doubt. I thought, yes, I'd like to stay there. But then I ended up back at the gathering point from where I started my journey home. And it became strikingly clear to me once again. I have to paint, report, exhibit in the world. That's what it's all about. And I thought, now you have to go back and you can't do any of it.
Was there ever a moment during your experience where you felt you could decide to stay or go back? Or was it part of the assignment from the beginning? I am allowed to gain insight, I will observe something and report on it.
I think I was only able to make a decision at the beginning. But when I realized everything I still had to accomplish in this world, it became clear to me that I'd rather go back. But that point was something of a turning point. A dangerous one for me. I could have left all earthly matters behind and focused on finding something good. Yes, that was a turning point, where it was already dangerous for me.
But you were aware, I should actually go back, because I have something to do.
Yes, when I reported what I still had to do, that was the deciding factor. And then I think it became clear to me, yes, things will go back to normal. But I also have tasks to complete. And then the announcement of help was also a significant event. I wondered, help? What does the divine understand by help? That's how it was. Anyway, I went back the way I came. I was accompanied, and the return journey was pleasant. But when I re-entered my body at the accident site, that was painful for me. When my soul returned to my body, I realized I was aware of something else. It was something like a force field. similar to when you charge batteries. I felt such a force field inside my body. It was there, and I felt an internal vibration as if I'd been charged up from beyond. It was very significant for me to witness that strength. It was like saying, now you're going to do it. You'll get better, and you're going to do it. This is how I experienced this transition.
How did you experience yourself back in your body? Was it still the same situation at that slope?
Yes, I was still lying there. Then I felt this life force flowing into me, as if my body was being charged with electricity. My body became completely filled with life energy. To this day, it seems incredible to me how this current flowed through me. Later, during rehabilitation, I gained a much deeper understanding of what had come with it. So in any case, I was back in this world with the intention of getting well, but I had to do this and that, but I couldn't do those things. The thought kept coming back to me, you can't do any of that. What will happen now? Will they let me die, or will they let me go home? Or what will happen now? Then I felt pain. I heard the fire brigade. I recognized voices, but I couldn't speak. And then it became even clearer. Now you're back, but I'm supposed to do something I can't. Now you've been given life, and now you're supposed to do something, but you can't.
This means that you never actually lost consciousness during that time. You went to the afterlife, then back again, experienced the pain in your body, but had the awareness that everything would be all right. And then you also witnessed the rescue efforts, the fire department, and so on.
I experienced all of that when I was back in my body. I had been gone, I had fallen away. I had left, fallen away from this earth, into another dimension. And when I came back to Earth, I think I was ultimately unconscious. When I came to, I heard, aha, that's so-and-so from the fire department. And then I knew, deep down, you're still here. You've come back to life. And that's how I woke up later. Then I saw that helicopters, paramedics, and everyone else were there at the accident scene. And then I was flown to the university hospital in Freiburg. They carried out all the necessary procedures there, and everything was fine.
What happened physically?
Everything was squashed inside. Broken bones, all internally.
The organs too?
Yes, crushed by the tractor. I still had some bruises and wounds. Anyway, when my brother arrived, I told him I had to tell him something, that something had happened to me, but I probably can't even do it. I told him everything that happened to me, and then he said, yes, I can imagine that.
Did he say it immediately?
Yes, immediately, and then it was clear to me, if that's the case. I then went to rehab in Bad Krozingen, where I was in a group with the most elderly people, with walkers, with wheelchairs. They had to pick up a ball from the floor, and I myself needed helping hands. But I always said, I'll get better. And I was already thinking about everything I had to do. The therapists told me, Mr. Hensle, things will get better. The way you fight and with the energy you draw from somewhere, you'll recover. And that's exactly what happened. When I was feeling better after several months in the rehab clinic, I finally went up to the 4th floor. That's where I'd always been drawn. This task had always driven me. I wanted to fulfill it, but I couldn't. I then went up to the 4th floor where women were doing pottery. There was also a room where they were painting. I walked through it, looked around, and then thought to myself, no, you can't do that. You won't manage it. So I left again. I did that several more times.
So you really took a look at painting. What do you need for it? What could I do there?
Yes. I took a look once and then left again. Then one beautiful day I mustered up some new courage. Now you're going up there and taking another look. I then told the instructor, look, I have to do something. I had an experience and I'm supposed to paint pictures, do this and that, but I have absolutely no idea how. She simply handed me a canvas and some paint. I had to laugh a little and asked, and what am I supposed to do now? You have to paint your experience just as you described it.
So she also showed understanding for your request.
Yes, she was understanding. I sat there, looking at the thing in front of me. I had absolutely no idea how to draw on fabric. I really had absolutely no idea. I sat there for 2 or 3 evenings, and then one evening, quite late, something suddenly happened inside me. I actually picked up a pen and unconsciously started doing something. Completely unconsciously. But from that moment on, I also felt a help from above that filled me with meaning. I knew then, hey, now all of this is happening. Now it's all happening. From that moment on, I knew everything would turn out as it should. I didn't know exactly how it would happen, but I knew it would. It was, so to speak, something that was suggested to me. It was fantastic, an incredibly impressive experience for me. And then I started another painting in Bad Krotzingen during my rehabilitation. That was a very important painting for me. And when I went home, much later, I was advised, go to Freiburg now, there's a specialist shop there. We know you have no idea, but I'm sure you'll be guided somehow. You go there, take a trolley, and get what you think you need. So, I drove to the specialist shop in Freiburg with my car. There, I saw they had an incredible number of things. The store was enormous, like a football field. They had everything. I read stuff, but I didn't understand anything written on the items. Then, I noticed one woman. There were 10 women there, offering advice on paints and other things. I looked at these women. I look at every woman. Like I'm looking inside her. Then I noticed a woman. It was like something flashed by. There was something special about her. And I asked her for help. I thought, tell her what happened and what I need. So I walk up to the woman with my trolley. Listen, I have a problem. I have no idea what to do, but I'm supposed to do this and that. The woman looks at me very seriously and says, I understand you, she said. I've been through a bit myself. I can't talk about it, but I understand you. Look, everything fits together in this area, and everything fits together in this area. She then explained the different areas to me. That allowed me to put everything together myself. That's how I started. I loaded my entire cart with the help of this woman. I loaded everything up and drove home with it, with some pretty expensive things in my luggage. Pretty expensive altogether. Then I put the stuff in my office. People were thinking, what's wrong with him? What happened to him? Now he's bringing things to paint with. He's never painted anything his whole life, and now he wants to paint here in the house. What's going on? They were quite shocked when I arrived with my painting supplies. So I brought everything into my office and thought to myself, now I'll just wait and see what happens next. whether someone might come and help me, what my helper might look like. And then one night, as if I had received an impulse, I got up, went to the office, and got this canvas and set it up. I didn't even know what an easel was. It never interested me. So I supported the canvas with books and then started to do something. And then I noticed something was unusual. There was something there with me. Someone. I couldn't believe it. I had the feeling that someone was standing behind me, that someone was, so to speak, looking over my shoulder and directing me. Whatever, I was getting help. That was the promised help. That's how it all started with these pictures. And that's how it went on for several hours. It was never a quick process, finishing the pictures one by one. What I painted during those hours, I then covered up and went to bed. Towards morning, or when I got up again, my first stop was the office. I wanted to see what had happened. It was all fascinating.
Were you surprised yourself?
Yes, I was surprised myself. At the beginning, I often didn't know what was going on.
How can one imagine this work process? Did you work on the painting at night, then cover it up and then return to it again? That means it went on for several days.
Some of my paintings take me up to 30 days to complete. I work on them for between half an hour and 3 hours each night for 30 nights. I'm not under any time pressure. Time isn't that important. Whatever, it works.
But when the impulse comes, go for it and stick with it for 30 days.
Sometimes it's possible that I worked hard on the farm during the day and went to bed dog-tired in the evening, around 11 o'clock. And then I got up again around 1 o'clock, full of energy, not tired at all. I had the energy to do things and didn't notice any pain. In my shoulder either. I simply had energy and didn't question it at all. I simply accepted it. That's just how it is. I was promised help and I accepted it.
I'm doing this now.
I accepted it, and I think that was the best thing to do. That's how the pictures came about.
How many did you create so far?
I already have quite a few pictures. Over 30, I think. From small to large 1.2 meter pictures, depending on the situation. I often thought, I can't go any further now.
Everything has been said now.
Yes, I thought I had already produced enough pictures, so I'll donate the paints to the kindergarten. I thought I'd already shown everything. But no, it went on again. Not yet everything had been shown. At the beginning, I always wanted to show the positive aspects. That's where I started. But then it became clear that there was that other aspect. That is also very important. That other direction should also be shown. And then new pictures came out. Some good things, but also negative things. Images of attacks on people have also emerged, about the kinds of situations I didn't like to see in the afterlife. These situations also presented themselves as subjects for painting. So I painted picture after picture, and then the first exhibitions took place. Before that, I had thought, you'll never get an exhibition anywhere. But it was guided in such a way that it happened anyway.
But you don't sell the originals, do you?
I need the originals to put in the exhibitions. The internet is also important for the exhibitions because it allows everything to be spread around the world very quickly, and the stories surrounding the pictures too. It was my heartfelt wish to fulfill this commission. And I can tell I'm receiving help from all sides. I get help with painting, and with other things too. The help comes somehow. I don't have to understand it. Not me, anyway. But they always approach me. And for years I've thought that my experiences could be turned into a book about painting the pictures and the wonderful help I've received. All of this needs to be documented. I've also been prompted to do so by various signs, or rather guided towards it. And recently a book was actually made from what I had recorded over the years. Messages from the afterlife. I recorded all of it because it contained such valuable clues, especially from the helpers. At the exhibition in Baden-Baden, I was standing in front of the paintings with an art historian from Freiburg. She explained this and that to me, saying, "Look, this is the technique of so-and-so painter." I stood there completely clueless. I had no idea what she was explaining.
So she explained what your technique reminded her of.
Yes, exactly. If she had asked me something about horses or a stallion, I could have given her an answer. But only she could tell me things about painters. I just thought to myself, okay, fine. 2 months later, I went to Bad Krozingen for rehabilitation because of the accident. And my brother says, hold back a little, because I'm always such a magnet. When I look at people, I see this and that in them. That's why I shouldn't look too closely, so I don't take so much in. I'm sitting at a table with some nice people. A nice woman is sitting next to me. I had a good feeling about her. A few days before I'm going home, this woman says to me, "You know, I'm a medium." And then she tells me about people who help me, who are supposed to tell me something about the afterlife, about the people who help me. She confirmed exactly what the art historian in Baden-Baden had told me about painters. What she sees in my paintings, the techniques and all that. The woman told me, there are artists in the afterlife who have been tasked with helping me.
And those were exactly the ones the art historian had been talking about.
Yes, yes. And then I did start doing a bit of
research.
Yes, sort of. While painting, I thought to myself, I never looked back, not even once, because I was afraid that if I turned around, I wouldn't get the help anymore. And then I turned around a little, looked over my shoulder. Did I see someone or did I see no one? And then I saw exactly what the woman had told me, what the medium and the art historian had told me. That's exactly what I had seen.
Would you like to mention a name?
No, no. That's exactly what I saw. I thought, 3 times now. Do you finally believe? I always received this impulse from beyond. Do you finally believe? It was conveyed to me in my own language. It's fascinating.
So you always feel spiritual guidance.
It's fascinating. I'm still so fascinated by the whole story. And now this thing with the book.
The book is actually a good way to showcase the works without having to sell the originals.
Exactly, yes. And most importantly, this book contains everything I recorded, the meaning of the pictures and so on. My brother helped me to document it.
So the meaning of each image, what you then record on your phone, is also be conveyed to you in words.
Yes, it's all in the book, for every picture.
You are informed when the picture is finished.
Yes, when it's finished.
Not during the creation process.
Only when it's finished. I then explained the meaning of each picture for me and where it came from. I documented everything. I knew it would eventually become a book, even though I didn't know how, but it was good that I had collected everything.
And the process is not yet complete.
No, it's not finished. The book is something wonderful to me. I'm not much of a public speaker, but everything is described beautifully in the book. You can read it 3 times and still see the pictures and everything. And above all, what I'm realizing now, it's an incredible way to open doors for people. Several people have already told me this. They look through it and somehow a door opens within them that was previously closed. And that's why the book is also a great help for other people who do good. Some people need to be able to grasp something, they need to see something in order to understand it. Although I don't know the major scientific terms because I had no experience with the subject matter, I can express it in my own words.
But the professional world is not the primary thing that's important to you.
Not for me, no. I just think a lot of people come to me, especially older people, when they talk to me about their experiences. And I say, look, it's different now. You can tell me what you've experienced. If they want to tell me about it, I say, the time when you were considered crazy is over. And that's precisely why science is important. When a scientist says something, or there's a study, it helps people. They then think there's something to it. That's also important. It's a confirmation for those who have a mission like me, or for others who have had a near-death experience. I see it this way. There are many people who have had near-death experiences and have a mission in their field.
Writing books, for example.
Yes, they have tasks in their area. We don't all get the same ones. Everyone has tasks in their own area, things they have to do somehow. And if this is now a little less shrouded in mystery, and people read or hear about such experiences, then they are more open about their own experiences, even if they weren't positive. I know people who have told me about the negative experiences they've had. But they don't go public with them because their experiences were very severe.
Unpleasant experiences.
Yes, like the ones I know from those other areas. Descriptions where I think, has he really hit rock bottom with what he's describing?
Have you encountered several people who have reported such things?
Yes, that's why it's important to me that the world is no longer so narrow-minded. That things aren't all swept under the rug. If organizations don't want this information to come to light, that's wrong. People can handle it, but only if they know about it. If the truth is told, they can handle it.
What was your background? Were you a very religious person, or spiritually oriented, or were you not interested at all?
It's like this. I went to church at Easter and Christmas, still do, but I'm not a big churchgoer. I've always believed in the divine, in the existence of such a thing.
Were you also strongly influenced by the Christian faith as a child? in your upbringing at school?
I knew such a thing existed, but I hadn't really looked into it.
Okay.
I thought that only when you get older do you have to start thinking about where you're ultimately headed.
Now you've been given this commission, this very clear commission to create images. Do you feel that anything else has changed for you as a result of your near-death experience? Has it had any other after effects where you say, I now see my life differently, my priorities are different, different things are important to me? Has anything else changed for you?
How should I put it? One thing is perfectly clear to me now. I'm in this world, but there's another world, much bigger than this one. That's the real world, the main world for us. And that I'm only here in this world to simply continue to develop. I'm quite happy that I'm a trained bricklayer and that I love nature and flowers. I'm quite happy about it, even more so now than before. Every person has received from the beyond what they are meant to do on this earth. I think that if someone has become a doctor, for example, they have been given a very great responsibility, which they have to live up to. And I'm satisfied with the job I've been given. I get to live close to nature. I don't have to run around in a big city. I have it better this way, being what I consider a workaholic. But I know there is a beyond. Most importantly, I know there's more to come. Many people I see at funerals never had belief. And that almost brings tears to my eyes. Because I say, hey, you are somewhere when you cross over. Your area will be, from my point of view, your area will be gloomy and dark. It will be the dark and shadowy one. It will not be the light one. That's perfectly clear. It won't be the really bright area.
So having a view of the bigger picture, believing in the afterlife helps you to get to brighter areas, right?
So how should I put it? I have the opportunity to lead a decent life in this world where I am now. I don't have to be a saint, go to church every Sunday, worship this or that, do this or that. That's not necessarily it for me. But I have to be the person I'm meant to be. What one calls the afterlife, what one calls divine, the other side, those are the requirements. If I live according to these principles, this has nothing to do with the church, then I have a chance of reaching the realm of light in the afterlife. Perhaps I'm still missing something, but there are helpers who can assist me in this direction. I have that chance. But if I don't believe in anything at all, if I think that when I die it's all over and there's nothing left, then I no longer exist. If I leave this earth with this opinion, then I see a dark future for myself, quite simply.
I get the impression that you'd rather avoid speaking of heaven and hell. But are there specific feelings that you associated with these different worlds? For example, freedom, confinement, feelings that could be described to help us imagine a bit more than just the classic terms of heaven and hell.
I see it this way. When leaving this earth, when going home, the image behind me is called going home. It shows the right path. There is a path that is meant for us humans. This path of going home. This is the destination for a person who has led a decent life on this earth, who has done their part well. That is the right way. But then there is also the other way of going home. This is the image behind you. The image depicts the attack. Even in the dying process, a person can be attacked from a negative perspective. My father still remembered the picture and told me about it before he died the next day. I talked to him a lot back then. He confirmed that image for me again, these attacks, that one is attacked in the dying process. These are the different ways to leave this earth. There are always creatures who want to prevent us from finding this good path. If I have never been such a loving person, if I have only been held back by negativity, then I must expect that I will have to go home along such a path. That does indeed also exist. That's why the image was created for this world. And from this image, which depicts the creatures, two significant images have developed. One of them is called the horror. It's like a passport photo from inside. You can look at it. I've seen it. It was shown to me, a very serious story. That's how it is. That's this attack. And then the other thing that was shown to me, that I personally experienced, this is the claw of the dark power, as I later called the image. Here too, people are attacked. They are treated like a kind of fair game for the negative, for the attacks. That can happen, and people should know about it. People should know that this also exists. Every person has their own opinion, their own freedom, their own direction where they want to go. But they should know that this exists. But it doesn't have to be that way. You have the opportunity in this world to do something to prevent it from happening.
What protects against attacks?
The good. The good, simply put. Good is the enemy of the negative, of these attacks. This is how you counteract them and get rid of everything else. But you have to want it first. You have to want it. And all of this is clearly shown in the pictures. How it came from the afterlife to the world. That's why everything in the book is so important. Because people can look at it calmly. They can think about it. And some will reorient themselves. Because they feel their inner voice telling them, yes, there's something to this. And thus, my task is complete. That means they're thinking about how they'll behave in the future. And then they'll carry on. But the door has been opened for them. Yes, there is something there.
So that's part of your job, not just to create images, but also to get people to think and choose what's right.
Yes, primarily through reporting. And I've personally experienced this at exhibitions. People have come who, when they were young, always had to go through the rosary with their grandmother. Later, as adults, they stopped going to church because it was all too much for them. And then they ended up at my exhibition, heard about my near-death experience, looked at the pictures and said, now I believe in something again. Then it was clear to me, aha, the door had opened. Someone is thinking about it. And that's all we can do. They have to continue on their own. But it's fascinating what's happening. And now this book, which contains the going home and other images, is so helpful, especially for people who are ill, who wonder, yes, who really do wonder, what happens next? It's comforting. This image takes away people's fear, and that's the most important thing. When the fear is gone, the negative has less chance to take hold, to attack. if the fear disappears, because people say, then if I ever have to go, I'd rather take this path than the other one. And thus, life takes a turn for the better.
But what is your view of traditional religions? Often religion itself creates fears. Fear of hell, fear of being influenced. Fear is a poor advisor, because what's really about is joy. Couldn't that happen too?
Here's the thing. What I always say is, there's a mountain. You can climb it from different directions. For me, those are the different religions. But it's all one thing, and everything else that's not quite right, that's caused by people. It's people who change all of this. But every religion speaks of the true afterlife in its own way. That's not a bad thing. If there is anything negative about religion, it's humanity that creates it.
So religion shouldn't be frightening.
Religion should not inspire fear.
It should motivate.
Yes, and that's how it is with religions in general. Except when people exploit them for their own purposes. But in principle, every religion has the same goal. Everyone meets there. I have nothing against any religion.
I think that was a good topic to end on. I wish you continued inspiration and much success with your paintings. Thank you very much for the conversation.
I also thank you very much. Thank you.